What is up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Start Build Grow Show. Wow, we have a topic for you today. We are talking about taxes, and I'm not talking about like paying taxes. I'm talking about figuring out ways to not pay taxes. Most companies, especially if you're doing well, you have a great year, and then all of a sudden that next year you see that massive tax bill and it can be debilitating. So we are going to give you some amazing strategies and learn and educate you on how to protect yourself and how to prevent overpaying in taxes. So you're going to want to stay tuned to this episode. All right, I want to welcome in two very special guests, Chris Middleton and Tyler Buechler. Did I get that? I totally butchered that. I was supposed to ask you ahead of time. Did I get that right?
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Buechler. Tyler Buechler, Chris Middleton with MakeTaxesFair.com. And man, guys, I've had off camera, off script, I've had a chance to connect with you both actually for years now, as we just realized what you guys are doing is pretty dang cool. And with our coaching consulting company, we're doing a lot of stuff now, like fractional CFO work and bookkeeping support and coaching. And man, when you help contractors win, you start helping contractors grow and scale. What do they do with the money and what do they do with those tax bills? So we're going to dive into that stuff. I'm excited to meet you both and hang out with you both today. So in traditional fashion, this is a show about entrepreneurship for the blue collar world. I'm going to start with Chris. Give me your story, my man.
Yeah, I've been doing taxes for 20 years. I'm that old. When I was in school, I was working. My dad always told me, get skills. I was always kind of working jobs. I've been on worked for a roofing company when I was in college, right? Decided that is not for me. You guys are out there like jamming every day. And I was like, I'm not good at this. Nobody wants me on the roof. So worked a variety of jobs, ended up going to school and studying accounting. And I started in the psychology realm. I wanted to be a therapist and help people. And then I decided I didn't want to deal with crazy people. And the joke is I went into accounting and tax, and now I help people with money, and money makes people crazy. So here I am back dealing with crazy people, right? So, yeah. So, but worked for a firm for a few years. Started out kind of owned a franchise, a tax franchise, helping people, and got to a place where people were coming to me, and I was like, "Hey, I need to pay less in taxes," and I just realized like the industry was broken in the sense that advice and you guys see this with what you guys do at the Roofing Academy and helping people. It's like advice doesn't translate to action. And I would spit out a bunch of advice and say, do this. And then people would leave and come back and they wouldn't have done that, right? Or they would have done it and got stuck or, so got to a place where I was like, I need to be better than what I call the happy historian. I need to help people actually be proactive. And so that's kind of my windy journey from working in college and on a roofing company and construction company to psychology to now helping people pay less to the government legally.
Yeah, it takes a special somebody to be interested in that and to be interested in tax code and learning all the nuances of that. And you're that guy.
It's a very nice way to say I'm weird, and yes, I agree.
I love that. Well, I got a chance to connect with Tyler, and he was talking all about how, you're like a cyborg, the guy that studies tax code and learns things that like most CPAs and accountants don't even know. So it's amazing, and thank you for the work you do because it blesses all of us.
It's fun. It's a blast. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Just like for me, like nails on a chalkboard, that's exactly what I would be thinking of. What I think of when I think of reading tax code. But there's very special people in the world that actually really appreciate that. So thanks, man. Love to have you here, and we're going to get into some cool stuff here. Tyler, give me your story, man. How'd you get into entrepreneurship in general, and then work your way into the business that you guys have together?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, Randy. So I myself, I'm kind of just as weird as Chris in different ways. So I'm actually a little farm kid from the middle of nowhere in North Dakota. I grew up on a family dairy farm, and my first job was working concrete construction. So I laid the slab down before all the roofers put the the cap on it, right? Loved doing the manual labor, working out on the farm, living in the country. And I ironically was also a math and science geek growing up. So I went to school for microbiology, got into school and realized, you know what? It's kind of interesting to me, but I don't like working in a lab. I like people. I want to work with people.
Yeah.
So while I was in school, I met a couple of other guys. We were just buddies in college. And our last year in school, we fell into entrepreneurship. So we actually got started doing credit card processing for business owners. Seemed cool to us. We were young kids, saw dollar signs, thought, hey, we can make some money for ourselves, right? It was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. So for about 16 years, I was partners with those two other guys, and we did credit card processing, point of sale systems, e-commerce integrations. We also had our own software team, and we built a payment portal for IT companies to get paid by their clients. So everything was about integrating into accounting softwares and streamlining payments, creating business efficiency. I left those companies in late 2019. And when I left, we had grown to 86 employees and about 30,000 clients that we were working with. And trust me when I say it was 99% ambition, 1% intelligence that got us there. We were dumb college kids when we started.
You can sum up entrepreneurship with that.
Absolutely.
Ambition.
Kids, if you're ambitious enough, go for it. You can
Yep.
make it happen. But smarts, intelligence, that's learned along the way. I mean, we didn't know anything.
100%.
We made the dumbest mistakes, but we learned. And
Yep.
as long as we, wanted to do things the right way, we kept progressing. So I left those companies, and it wasn't terribly long after when I met Chris. And Chris absolutely blew my mind. With all due respect, Randy, he's not a cyborg. I always affectionately call him Rain Man of the tax code. That's what I always tell people.
Love it.
And that's how I really felt when I met Chris. I had all this experience growing these companies and just beating my head against the wall every time we would increase in business, and the IRS would just take a massive chunk. My partners and I looked all over the country, couldn't find a lot for tax strategy. We did some R&D tax credits. We did a couple things here and there, but that really was the thing. When Chris and I first met, it was like a light bulb moment of like, oh my gosh, there is somebody that actually gets this. And not only does he get it, I can get it from what he's saying. Like, it makes sense. He can explain it to me in terms that I get. And so Chris and I got to be friends. We collaborated, and it actually took nearly a full year, and we started Make Taxes Fair, bringing our respective experiences of nearly 20 years each at the time together. And so that's what I do in the company. Is I'm an entrepreneur that absolutely I still get. We've been doing this for almost 4 years now as this entity, each been working for more than 20 years in our respective crafts. I get excited every time we talk to another entrepreneur, because to me, it's like, yes, it's another win. We analyze and find every way that they can legally pay less tax. And that's what's so much fun about this.
I love that. I mean, it's like the same thrill I get, doing coaching. When you meet somebody, you get to connect with somebody, and you have that one conversation, and you just see a light bulb go off of like, holy cow, I didn't think of that before. I didn't see that perspective. And then next thing you know, I take it very seriously too, because what you do, what we do as entrepreneurs, but also as coaches and as people that serve entrepreneurs and serve business owners, we're creating generational change and generational knowledge base, right? Knowledge is really the commodity that we're selling, right? I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on like personal development and coaching and people that I've learned from, and different networking groups, different groups that I've been involved in. Now I get to pay it forward. And one conversation can literally not only change your trajectory, but can change the trajectory of generations to come. And It's incredible. It's such a cool feeling when you get to do that and you see a light bulb go up, and you get to do it like on the reg, which is super cool. All right. So let's go back to the, I'm going to lean in on the business side for a minute, and then we're going to get into some of the fun stuff of like strategy, getting this thing started. How did that, let's talk about, two guys come together, two different worlds, I'm curious. Walk me through that conversation of like, hey man, was it over a beer? Was it a coffee? Was it, what was the moment you guys were like, hey, I got this idea? I'm always curious, right? What was the idea? What was that moment that launched, MakeTaxesFair.com?
Where I met you, Randy, at the One Industry, One Model tour, right? Or industry event, right? A fella had brought me in. He had worked with a tax strategy minded person, kind of helping her build her business. And then he had broken off from her, and he's like, hey, I'm going to do my own thing. And, he bumped into me, and he's like, oh, you're talking about things that this other person talked about, but way differently. And I was like, yeah, let's collaborate. So, he brought me in as the kind of chief tax strategist for that. I'll just say, we'll call him Jay, just to protect the names of the innocent. Jay was very, very entrepreneurial, but like many entrepreneurs, I find we all kind of have that that itch for the next shiny thing. And so, Jay was always like, hey, let's do this and do this. So we were kind of trying to figure out how we're working together and the structure. And I think Tyler, Jay said, hey, I'm going to bring Tyler in to be my boss. He's like, I've got this vision, and great mind, great guy. But just kept kind of shifting directions all the time. And I was like, all right, let's figure out what we're doing so we can be consistent. And Tyler, I think you got brought in to be like the CEO and the boss to say, let's stay on target. And so Tyler came in, and Jay was like, cool, they're not going to do that anyway. Love the guy. He just had that entrepreneurial mind and always wanted to do new things. And so I was like, hey, Tyler, you're very structured and method. I would say if there anything about Tyler is he's just freaking consistent. And he's got that Midwestern, let's go, keep beating down that fortitude of let's keep it at it. And I was like, man, this is entrepreneur, because nobody likes to talk about the hard, boring stuff in entrepreneurship, but it's consistency and that daily effort. And I was like, hey, we're going to do our own thing and kind of let Jay go off and do his thing. And great guy, he's crushing it in his world and doing his thing. But we're like, yeah, this isn't working. And so, that's the path that we took. And Tyler's been my best man at my wedding and, the last couple of years. And he's like the brother I never had. We cry, we laugh, we yell at each other. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
Well, and that's a beautiful thing. And I love that we even went down this road, because I think there's so much to be learned through that process of you connect with others. A lot of times, here's the deal: business, have fun, chase an object, have the discussions, but you got to court, you got to date before you get married. Yeah. And I talk about this all the time. So many people are like, oh, put it in paper, I want my percentage, blah, blah, blah. Like the first night they're talking about these things, like, let's create something where we can really connect and work together before we get married, right? Let's court, let's date before we get married in our business. And if you can do that, you learn the nuances of each other. But here's the thing: businesses where two owners come together or people come together to try to build a business and they're the same type of person, which that may be good for a buddy on the golf course or a buddy hanging out having a beer or whatever. And that's where a lot of the ideas happen. But when the rubber meets the road and you start working together, I don't see businesses work very well when you have two of the same people. You got to be different. And it looks like you guys figure that out. And I'm so blessed. I have two partners, my best friend, my business partner. I mean, he's same guy. He's so consistent. He shows up and executes at a high level day in and day out. And he keeps my crazy ideas under wraps. I'll have 10 ideas. And he's the one who's like, 8 of them are, nope, don't do that. But here's the 2 that I do like. And I'll actually get behind you and help you implement them. Cool. And it works really well, but we're very different. We've known each other for 30 years. So that piece of finding someone that's different from you is huge. Mm-hmm. But what's even more big is trust. Is connecting and finding a way to work together, finding that common vision, that common goal, that common passion, and then you learn to trust one another. That is the recipe for success. And then our other partner, my sister, who is just an absolute integrator of she is the best integrator implementer I've ever seen in my life. And she's what helps me do what I do, because, she runs our coaching program and systemizes and creates structure around absolutely everything. I'm like, holy cow, what would I do without you? I'm the one that I'm like a bull in a china shop, and she's just showing up and getting it all done. So I can attest, great partners are vitally important in building a business. But if you're going to look for partners, find someone different from you, find someone that you can trust, but make sure your values aligned and make sure that your vision, you're all chasing the same vision.
Yeah. And for us, we always talk about how the first thing we do, we're in servitude, right? So we're looking to serve others. Well, the first one to serve is each other. So Chris and I are always looking to take care of each other instead of getting selfish, going along with that trust. That's how we view it. And that's how we approach it every single day. Is my job is to take care of Chris, make sure him and his family are taken care of. He does the same for me. and then it flows down through all of our employees and all of our clients. And that's why God put us here, is for everybody to serve others. And so when we do that with a happy heart, people save stupid amounts of tax. The only one that loses is the IRS, and everybody's happy about that.
No complaints. And man, I can't appreciate enough that you went there and you said that, because that's one of our first, I mean, for the Academy, that's our first core value: serve.
Yeah.
You know, serve, lead, teach, and inspire. And service comes before success. And, you know, it's from a biblical perspective, but it's also from a human perspective of, you know, if we truly have a heart of servitude to serve others and we're genuine about that, it's amazing the results and the people you start attracting to you, right? If you're fake, you're phony, and if you're BSing, it's only gonna last so long. And then all of a sudden you're that guy who's chasing all the shiny objects all the time, because there's not a core there of that true value. And that's where I talk about value alignments. That's why I made it one of our values. Is like, when we have our calls with our internal team, it's like, how do we serve today? And you call my office, my roofing office, you'll hear that's one of our values in both my companies. And it's, you know, thanks for calling Elite Roofing and Solar. How may I serve you today? Like, I implemented that a few years ago, and that's great. The core of what we do. So I absolutely love that alignment. And there's a takeaway right there. Boom. If you're listening to this and you're looking a way to really find a good partner, you're finding core values, you're trying to build something, servitude is vitally important. Service comes before success. All right. So success, you know, so we'll talk about your business too, but I've been there, man. I've been doing this 20 years. You know, I've had years where I'm just like, man, my tax bill is bigger than what some companies do in a year. And then I've had years where I'm like, oh no, I'm getting kicked in the teeth and I got no money left. So like, I've learned a lot of different things, but man, I can tell you in the coaching world, you know, working with companies all over the country, it comes up all the time. Like, you know, now that we're in the financial world, we're helping with their books, doing a lot of cleanups and all that stuff, which I didn't realize, man, 9 out of 10 companies, I mean, sometimes big companies been around for a long time. We just don't know what we don't know. A bunch of blue collar knuckleheads hustling out there, but none of us have like sophisticated financial coaching or knowing what we're doing. So go ahead. What do you say to that?
I'll interject there. You said blue collar knuckleheads, and I it's a joke, but self-deprecation is not humility. And the contractors that we work with, especially, I love working with the trades. Your God-given ability to look at something and, you know, make it square, you have talents and strengths that I don't want to be on my roof. I want somebody who knows what they're doing to be on the roof, right? And that's really what it comes down to is it your jam? And if it's not, do you have somebody that is? So, you know, the talent and ability to run a business doesn't always translate to the numbers and the financial side of things. So just having the right people in place in your team, right? So.
Absolutely. It's part of the skill set we got to learn, and the people we got to bring in that have that skill set. Because, you know, there's 3 things. Like, I look at, let's just say you're the model for a $10 million company. It's very, very different. The leadership and the roles that you have to fill for a $10 million roofing company are very different than a $1 to $3 million roofing company. Right. I look at, there's 5 key things. You got to have your master mechanic. You got to have somebody that knows the trade, whether it's roofing or whatever it is, inside and out. Like, this is the person that's the fail safe. This is the production. This is, you know, when something goes wrong, they're the person that helps jump in and solve it and fixes that problem. Right? You got to have your master mechanic or master technician, if you will. Then you got to have your manager, someone who's like organized and consistent and manage, like the general manager, like someone managing things. Then you got to have your sales champion. Somebody who like eats, sleeps, and breathes sales. They wake up every day like, how are we going to drive revenue, right? Or CRO or whatever you want to call it in like a tech world. So, and then you have your bean counter. This is a numbers person. Yeah. This is somebody that truly understands numbers and is obsessed with the numbers to the point where they're going to oversee and make sure that things are not bleeding out and not falling out. And this is where a lot of companies miss. And then you got to have the 5th one is the visionary, right? Who's driving the vision for the business? A $10 million company that you see that's successful, sustainable, and profitable has all 5 of those. And most of the time, it's not the same person. Maybe there's some crossover here and there. Yep. But what happens is when you start a business, the $1 million company, the $2 million, $3 million company, all 5 of those are 1 to 2 people. Yeah. And you're playing all those roles. So a lot of times we start a business with all this ambition, but then we start seeing some traction and we realize that, holy crap, this takes a lot more than what I signed up for and what I realized. And now I got to figure out how to get there. And the key is bridging that gap and getting there. And that's what's hard. And that's where guys like you and programs like the Academy come into play. But that's what we do, is we help bridge that gap. And then, we can fill the one thing that's probably the most like kicked under the rug that we don't pay attention to the most, the bean counter, the financial side. And this is where, you guys come into play.
And taxes are not sexy or fun. Nobody likes to be like, oh, I want to deal with my taxes today. It's like, no, that's, even my own taxes, I'm like, oh, I got to do my own taxes. Okay, cool. But at the end of the day, what is fun is when we collaborate and break away. I say most, no disrespect to the profession, but most CPAs are what I call happy historians. They put the right numbers in the right boxes. Yep. And that's important. You got to do that. Yep. But a conversation around, hey, what are you doing that we can optimize, or what should you, maybe we just need to take that one additional step or one additional thing that we need to do, and then we can capture these write-offs that you're missing. And so we do that through our framework. We can talk about that. Yep. But that's how we sit people down and say, let's look at your business through a proactive lens rather than looking in the rearview mirror and what happened last year. It's too late. Can't do anything about the year vast majority of the time when it's closed out, and it's like, well, numbers are what they are. It's like we only have so much control at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a huge difference in sustained success is preparation and being able to look ahead and anticipate, numbers. If you don't know your numbers, how can you project your numbers? Right? It's like, oh crap. So I will help you build those out and get your numbers right and help you project those numbers. They will help you keep that money, and it's a match made in heaven, right? So we're gonna get into the context there, right? We've had a lot of fun chatting and teeing this thing up, but hey, our listeners are listening because they want some meat. They want to know, how do I, reduce my tax bill? So you help me determine where to go. Are we better off going down the road of categorizing companies from the 1 to 3, 0 to 3 million, 5 million, 10 million, or are we better off just going right into you guys' framework? What's the best way to navigate this?
I'd say our framework would be, because it's applicable at all levels. We dissect tax planning in different pillars, so to speak, and when we identify and get to know the client, who are you? And are you at that, 1 to 3 million, or are you at that 3 to 5 million, or, 5 to 10 million, or growing? There's different strategies that are applicable at different levels or appropriate at different levels.
Love it. So let's do this. I love to do this. I am a 5th-year contractor. I'm at like $3.5 million, and I think I'm going to be able to double my business. I'm going to get up to that 5 to 7 million in the next 1 to 2 years. What are some of the things that I need to be thinking about, and how do I prepare?
Yeah, I love that you said 5th year, because that's the 10,000 hour rule. It's like you finally kind of there, and you feel like you're hitting your stride and figuring things out. Right? We have what we call the clear edge framework. And we love that because it gives we ask the question, do you have a clear edge over the government, or do they have a clear edge over you? And so at that level, we're coming in and we actually apply the clear edge in the order that the acronym is written. We start with credits. So tax credits, because you are in existence and you're doing things in your business. Are there legitimate credits, which we love credits because it's a dollar for dollar value of tax, whereas deductions are only a percentage of the dollar, right? Whatever your marginal rate is. So we look to see, how are you compensating your people? How are you operating as a business in your marketing efforts? There are tax credits that can be built around marketing engine, believe it or not, and making your stuff ABA compliant. Are you hiring people and taking advantage of hiring credits? Research and development. It's rare. Anybody that's like, oh, you're going to be able to get R&D credits. Maybe in the roofing space, maybe. There's sometimes a conversation around that. And then state-specific credits. So we look and see you have a robust business. Can we slash your tax bill right away using credits? That's a big one. And then the rest of the acronym is, legal structure. So it's credits, legal structure, employees. How are you compensating your employees and treating your employees, including yourself? Accumulation of wealth and retirement planning, two similar but very different topics when it comes to tax planning. So it makes up the clear. And then the edge is exit planning. Are you exiting your business in the next foreseeable future, 3 to 5 years? Are you bringing somebody else in to help grow? Like we talked about the roles, you need that technician or the
master technician, if you will, or the master mechanic, or however you want to call it.
Perfect. So you're like, hey, I want to step out of that role. I want to have somebody else. So that's part of exit. You're not necessarily leaving the business, but expanding the business and bringing in a partner. So how do you do that? Deduction optimization is huge. There's a lot of strategies that fall under deductions that you're just flat out missing because you don't know. Getting organized is the G in the edge. And I love that you guys are helping your tribe, get organized and know your numbers. Because ultimately, if you don't know your numbers and you're not organized, you're not going to get the E in the edge, which is efficiency. Mm-hmm. And so that's our clear edge framework on a high level. We identify in the different pillars, where are you lacking? Where do we need to tune you up?
Love that. You touched on something I think we might need to lean into a little bit, because I think that's owner compensation.
Yeah. And
a lot of us, we start a business, might be our first business, and nobody's ever told us how to compensate ourselves. So, there's the contractor that just, sells some roofs, puts some money in the bank and sees the money in the bank and grabs it and just gives it to themselves as they see fit. Right. Yep. Or they attach their personal Amazon account to their business account. And then they just start spending money all they want. Like they're remodeling their house or buying boats. Like all that stuff can be very counterproductive and really put you in a bad spot from a tax liability perspective, from what I know now.
Yeah, absolutely. So it depends on your legal structure, which is at that, roofing company, you 5 years in business, 3 million kind of moving up. We look at the next thing is we look at your legal structure, and are you the right legal structure? Most people are like, hey, they've done the S Corp route. Like, hey, I'm an LLC. I made the S Corp election. Cool. That's a really common tax strategy, but a lot of people don't know why. They're like, well, I paid a lot less in taxes when I did that because your self-employment tax drops like a rock. But what they don't realize is compensation. And now I'm an employee of my own company as an owner, and the IRS has this reasonable compensation requirement. And so what we do is when we get a hold of somebody and, hey, verified, yeah, you're in the right legal structure tax-wise, you should stay there, or yes, this makes sense. Then we look to compensation. We have some tools that we use to determine what should you be paying yourself. So we can get really scientific about it, and we show the report that we generate to people, and they're like, oh my gosh, I was just guessing before. But we've been able to show business owners and say, hey, in the role and the hat that you're wearing in your business, you're paying yourself, let's say 180 grand. You should actually be paying yourself closer to like 110. Yeah. And we drop what they pay in payroll taxes substantially without the fear of audit. If we get an audit, we don't like the A word, but if it happens, we can come prepared with, hey, we didn't just pull this number out of nowhere. Like, we actually are paying me as the owner the right amount for the roles that I am in the company. That trickles over to exit planning, because now you have your numbers dialed in and you're saying, hey, we're paying the right person in the right cheeks are in the right seats, and we're paying those people appropriately. So that actually helps your valuations, because you can show I'm not just paying myself this huge amount or way too little. You're paying yourself the right compensation to get your valuations right as well.
Yeah, so makes all the sense.
Yeah, the play of the pillars and how they interact with each other, it's a holistic view.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that a little bit, Randy, to your question, you were asking initially, your roofing company, you're growing, you're going to double in the next couple of years to 5 to 7 million. What are the things you should be thinking about now? To answer that question efficiently, Chris is just, I mean, this is what he does. Again, this was when I met him, I was like, wow, Rain Man of the tax code. Unreal. I mean, he could spout all day long about all this stuff. The way that we look at it holistically, it's the same kind of thing. You've got a massive building with a roof on it, right? The IRS is a hailstorm. They've just been pelting the crap out of your roof, right? You're going to assess it now to figure out what do you need to do. Do you assess it one room at a time? Just look at one room that the roof covers, fix that, do stuff with that without analyzing the rest of the roof? You probably analyze the entire thing, right? Because the whole roof is connected. So the proper way, like Chris is talking about individual things that we do, and we do them fully and completely for people, but it's all connected in your business. So what we really do with people is to help them and say, look, as early in the year as you can, let's take a look at it. We collect the right information. We ask all the questions, and we do a full assessment of your entire roof. That's your whole business. That's how we look at it, because we're not going to fix just one piece without considering all the others, because that would be silly to patch one hole and not even look at the rest of it, and there's still massive holes in the rest of the roof. So we analyze the whole thing. We call it our tax strategy roadmap. So we gather all the information, we assess your entire life, and we give you a holistic picture of your whole business and whole life. Not just what Chris is talking about, but every one of those pillars to show people, here's everything that we can help with. And then, like I said, it's a holistic view, because we want to make sure that the entire thing is working together synonymously. And that's how you really get the edge over the IRS. That's how we legitimately help people. We've had it happen multiple times where we have been able to legally knock out 100% of a company's tax bill. We're talking tax bills in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. 100% wiped out with legal tax strategy, all guaranteed. And when I say guaranteed, it's like you follow our process, do what we say, and you keep the right records. Anyone can still get audited. But Chris is 20 years now running of 100% accuracy, never having anyone get penalized by the IRS in an audit. I love telling people that, because that does not happen by accident or chance. No. You don't get lucky against the IRS for 2 decades, thousands of times. That's intentional. That's truly knowing the code. That's what we bring that, as Chris said, the rest of the industry, that's what gets me excited. My hair is just standing up on the back of my neck right now. Not in joke.
I know. You light up every time you talk
so much, because I'm still that entrepreneur on that side of the camera, where when he's talking about this stuff, I'm just like, yes, 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 this is the answer. This is everything I look for. 16 years of growing those old companies into 8 figures with all those employees, all those clients that we served, and just getting hammered by the IRS. Our roof was just full of holes. Nobody could tell us how to plug the leaks.
Yeah.
This is how, look at the whole thing and get the full scope picture, analyze the entire thing to know this is how you effectively patch the whole thing. New roof, solid as can be.
Well, so let me channel, my inner, I always like to, as I'm doing these, I always like to try to put myself, I'm the guy, I'm driving around, listening to this. I'm like, what is the question that's going to come up that maybe Randy can anticipate for me? And like, the question that comes like, why are CPAs not already, why don't you get this service already? Why is this not common? Like, I think that's probably a question you get all the time. That's what came to my mind is like, what's the catch here? Like, what's the deal? Like, why is my CPA already not helping me with this stuff? And I know you alluded to it earlier, but like, why? Like, why am I not already privy to this?
The shift happened for me when I was, I sometimes, when I speak, I sometimes start with, I was sitting at my desk and my checkbook was in front of me and I wanted to barf, because I had just come off of a banner year, best year of my career. And I was about to write a check, not for like the hut over the water, Bora Bora vacation. It was for my freaking tax bill, right? So here I was, and I was like, I'm the guy with the answers. Why am I stuck paying this big bill? Well, the answer is, as a busy business owner myself, I hadn't taken the time to properly plan for my business. And I'm in the business of taxes. So the honest answer is most CPAs are too busy doing the compliance work to unplug and think, hey, what can I do strategically, and how can I help and serve my clients to be strategic? And I remember sitting next to a CPA. We went to a baseball game with a group of people, and the guy sitting next to me was like, oh, I didn't know you were a CPA. And we just chit-chatting and watching the game. And I started talking about the Augusta rule, which a lot of people know about now with TikTok and social media. Like people, oh, the Augusta rule, cool. I love talking to groups of people in a room of 100 or more, because I'm like, cool, who knows about the Augusta rule? And probably 10, 20 hands go up. Okay, who's doing the Augusta rule? No hands go up. Because they know about it, but they don't know how to do and how to execute. Yeah. And most CPAs, when you talk to them about that, they're like, well, how do you do that? Like, how they don't take the time out of the busy work of being happy historians to actually take the time to dissect and say, here's how I and my client should be doing this. And there's more and more accountants that are being proactive or trying to be. What I find is we pick up their clients all the time. I love it when we get calls from, oh, I worked with this person or that person. I'm not going to name names, but I worked with this group out of Florida or this group out of Georgia or this group out of New York. I'm like, oh, okay. How did that go? It was super exciting for about a month, 2 months. But then the conversation gets stale. They're like, they were telling me to do all these things, but then I kind of was left on my own, not much in the way of implementation support. Or after 6 months to a year, they kind of went back to the same, well, are you doing these things? That's where our framework, the Clear Edge framework, is unique, because we can constantly go back to the pillars and say, okay, the last time we talked, you were making these moves, but you hadn't quite fully implemented under the employee pillar. So let's talk about fringe benefits for your team. How do we compensate your team in a tax efficient manner? Oh, you were still investing in systems and upgrading your CRM and your processes. So now you're done with that. Now you're ready to start addressing the accumulation of wealth and future retirement planning pillar. You have more cash flow available now, right? So we go back to those pillars and constantly look at how are you growing, evolving, and what's applicable in your world right now versus last time, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago.
Some might call it just a job, but they don't feel the weight of it. Rain, snow, heat, aching bones, and late for dinner again. But you keep climbing because families count on you. Homes stand because of you. And that's why we built Peak Performance, the playbook for progress. Real numbers, real insights, from real contractors like you. Scan the code, it's completely free, because it's more than just a job.
Yeah, and that's where having a strategic partner with this side of the business makes a lot of sense. So I love that, and thanks for sharing. So, here I am again, the roofer or the contractor, the owner. That this is the first time I ever heard Augusta golf. I like to play golf. What's the Augusta rule?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I cover it, Chris?
Go for it.
Just from the entrepreneur.
Pop quiz. Let's go.
I'm jealous. He's doing a lot of talking, and it's amazing. It's gold, but I like to share too. So the Augusta rule, you're exactly right. It came out of Augusta, Georgia, where the Masters golf tournament is every year. This is an old rule. This is something that blew my mind when Chris was talking about it. This came from, it was the 1950s or 60s, right, Chris, when this rule was instituted?
Yep.
So essentially, they got tired. There were affluent, rich people in the town. They got tired of their town being overrun for like a month and a half out of the year for this tournament. And so they lobbied and they got this rule put into the books. As it stands today, the Augusta rule says that you can take your personal residence, whether you own or rent it, and you can use it for business events. So we're not talking about an overnight Airbnb. We're not talking about your home office deduction. This is separate. The Augusta rule says that, Randy, you can take your home, and let's say you were going to do a educational seminar on what your company does. Host a whole bunch of people over at your business, at your home. Instead of having them at your offices, or instead of going and getting a conference center somewhere where you would pay a third party, you can host it at your home and pay yourself. Now, that's just one example. Your company Christmas party, a quarterly planning session with all of your staff. These are all examples that you could host at your home. And the code says that you can get quotes in your area, your physical area, for other spaces. So like a conference room from somewhere that you could host this event at for the number of people and what you're doing. Now these quotes justify what you can pay yourself from your company to rent your home. And all of the rent that you can pay yourself is tax-free. No FICA, no Medicare, no federal, and no state income tax. That's the power of the rule. So we alluded again a little bit earlier on compensation, right? What's the right compensation for yourself? Well, most people do less compensation because if you compensate yourself as an S corp, that's W-2. The IRS taxes you on W-2 wages. Why do people want to do less? Because it's less tax, right? So we show people the right amount, statistically, scientifically, the right amount you should do. Well, why is it all connected on the roof? Because we make you compliant with that so you don't get into trouble. But now we use all the other strategies in the code, just like the Augusta rule, to come in and just continually knock out all the tax on that W-2 income. So now you are compliant, and you are using all the tax strategies in the code, and you are doing them all the right way with the right records, so that when it comes to tax time, you are legally paying as little as possible, and you are airtight in the event of an audit. You are now dominating the IRS as effectively as you felt dominated by them in the past.
Love that. All right, guys. So it's been awesome hanging out. Great conversation. We're not quite done yet. For those of you listening, following, watching, listening, hey, thank you. It's your subscriptions, your follows, your likes, your shares, your comments, your interactions that make this show possible. So please like, subscribe, share it with somebody you think might be benefit from this conversation that we're having, and we'll get you information to get contacted with Tyler and Chris at maketaxesfair.com. We'll get some more information from them in a moment. So, but I was going to take this minute to just make sure to like and share and subscribe to this. We do appreciate you. We appreciate the audience. That's why we do this. Been doing it for 8 years, and I love doing this. And it's so much fun. So, but I'm going to ask you for one more. Augusta is awesome. Sure. You're doing this a lot. There's probably thousands of different nuances, different things that we can do that probably a lot of people don't realize or don't know about. But for roofing contractors or even a home service contractor, what's a really cool, fun thing that you've realized that may apply to quite a bit of our audience that is a tax strategy that they may not have realized or know about yet?
The one that applies fairly broadly across the board, all kind of different company sizes that we see with roofing contractors, is that one I alluded to earlier about the marketing and making things ADA compliant. So roofing, I love saying roofing contractors understand that they're not selling a hamburger, right? It's like, hey, this is a large purchase. It's for the most important asset you have, which is your home. One of the most important assets you have, which is your home. And so people don't just wake up, oh, I need a new roof, and like buy it like a pizza or a hamburger, right? And so I see a lot of roofing contractors that really pour a lot of effort into their website, into their marketing efforts to say, here's who we are, here's why you should work with us. And so there's a lot of effort put into the online presence. What a lot of people don't realize is if you're pushing your stuff out, the ADA, or Americans with Disability Act, in 2008 was updated to require your website, your online virtual presence to be ADA or Americans with Disability Act compliant. And so roofing contractors, if they're investing in website, in Facebook, in videos with closed caption, you're probably already doing a lot of things that are checking the list of, hey, these things that we're doing are ADA compliant. You're just flat out missing the credit. And the credit's up to $5,000 per year, every year that you're investing in ADA compliance. And so that's an easy win that it's like, yeah, it's like $5,000. It's not life-shattering money, but if you're a contractor and you're like, hey, my profit margin on a roof is, let's just say $15,000, or $10,000, that's half or a third of a roof that you don't have to install, that you don't have to pay people to go sell and people to do. It's like you just put that much more profit in your pocket from one strategy.
Yeah. And give me a rough number of how many different strategies you guys have found over the years.
On average, there's well over 150 strategies, but on average, when working with people, we find 9 to 10 strategies that you can do right now, that we need to implement right now this year to move your needle, 50 to 70% to cut your tax bill by 50 to 70%. As Tyler said, sometimes 100%.
Love it. All right. So as we start to land the plane, wind this thing down here, we're in the middle of Q2 as this is being recorded. And when is the right time to really start thinking and planning? The week before taxes are due probably is not the right time, I would think.
No.
Best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The next best time is right now. So there's never a wrong time to say, hey, I should look at my tax stuff and figure out, can I optimize? Can I be better? If you wait till April or you wait till January, you're behind the 8 ball. So now is the right time.
Yeah, even like this year, people think, well, I've got a lot of time left in the year. Things like the Augusta rule, you can do that up to 14 days, 14 events in a year.
Yeah.
Okay, well, do you want to wait until October and try and cram 14 events into the last few months along with everything else? It's now. It's always now. And there is very good reason for that.
Yeah.
And with the people that we get consistently that are most happy, have the absolute best results, are the people that come to us like right around tax season or right after their initial tax payment in April, because they're mad about it and they're like, I'm not going to let that happen again next year.
Yep.
You can come
give you the time, right?
Absolutely.
The more, it's safe to say the more time you have, the easier it is to help implement and identify the best opportunities that you
Absolutely.
may have. Yeah.
Great planning takes time, right? You don't go into the Super Bowl just deciding like the week before, let's watch some game tape. Let's get our plan together.
Yeah. What's the old cliche? Proper planning prevents poor performance. You know, so as I tell my like 10-year-old basketball students, basketball kids, baseball kids.
Yep.
Let me be super, super clear too. You didn't wake up magically with a profitable company, and you didn't magically wake up with, oh man, I've got this huge tax bill, right? You don't have a high performing team by just laissez-faire, passive. No, it takes effort to grow to the point where you're like, oh crap, government likes me. I don't like this. This is not good. And when we encounter business owners that they're like, well, you're taking care of this for me, right? We're like, well, we're helping you, but you've got to take ownership. You don't get a tax bill passively, and you don't passively get your tax bill taken care of. It does take effort. It does take effort. And the clients that we work the best with are like, hey, I'm going to take ownership of this. I'm going to do what you tell me to do. I'm going to fully execute. I'm going to overreact to your advice. Let's go. Let's take care of this and get the right people in the right place to execute, rather than just drag our feet. I'll do that tomorrow. That's how we end up with people that were like, well, here, we told you during the year to do this. You chose to wait. And now these things take time. So not to, don't kid a kidder. We're here to tell you, you didn't wake up with this tax bill magically. It's not going to disappear with a snap of the fingers.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'll tell somebody too, as I'm interviewing a potential coaching client, is like, there's no easy button. I know we all want the easy button. We've all seen the overnight success stories on Instagram, but the reality of it is you got to put in work. You got to be willing to put in the work. You got to get uncomfortable to do the things. And if you're looking to, at least get the process started, you need to figure out what your numbers are to even have a framework of what to even do. I got you. We got a whole team, a dedicated coaching staff, and a team of financial experts to help you track and find the numbers and clean up your books and get your chart of accounts and, accrual versus cash accounting all dialed in. And then when you're ready for the tax prep, talk to our guys at maketaxesfair.com. All right. How do we get a hold of you guys? Besides just maketaxesfair.com. Yeah.
Our first thing, I'll let Tyler drop his info here in a second, but we've put together a free assessment. We've talked about the Clear Edge framework, and we put together a short quiz that you could take to evaluate how strong are you tax-wise, and you can get that at mytaxstrategyscore.com.
All right, mytaxstrategyscore.com. Gotcha. All right, Tyler, bring us home.
The best place to start is I want to be able to serve your community directly myself. I lead all of our sales and all of the intake people here to say, let's have a conversation. It starts with a discovery call. I want to meet you. I want to learn about your business and your pain points, show you what we do, make sure that we're aligned and decide if we're the right fit for you. That's where we like to start. And you can get a hold of me with my email, tyler@maketaxesfair.com. That's the absolute best way. If we need to talk on the phone, we'll have a Zoom call. We'll get it arranged from there. Like, I want to meet you where you're at, and I want to be able to help you out and show you this is how we legally just beat down the IRS for you, and it's fun.
I love it. And obviously there's links and whatnot in the comments, whether you're checking email or wherever you're taking in this show. All right. So traditional form, as we wrap this thing up, I'm hanging out with some entrepreneurs and we're going to kind of do rapid fire here, but give me your best entrepreneurial advice. I'm going to start with Chris.
I'm a big fan of these days of focus and, just saying, okay, what am I, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no. And does this thing support my immediate goals? And am I actually helping the world at large if I say yes to this thing? And it might be a good thing that you're saying no to, but it's having the discipline to say, hey, I can help you with that, but it's got to be, in October is when I can do that. Like, you can say no to people politely, by saying, hey, not now, but later when I have more bandwidth.
Oh man, that's powerful, dude. That's so like profound. And you downplayed it a little bit, but it's like one of Warren Buffett's big things is like, I say no to 95% of the opportunities that come my way to be one of the most wealthiest, successful people in the world. And the power of learning how to say no, that's experience and knowledge as an entrepreneur. I've been doing this 20 years and I learned that years ago. And it's like, when to say no. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing.
All right. Lots of hair saying yes.
Touche. Been there, done that. All right, Tyler, what you got, man? Let's bring this thing home.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The greatest thing that I've learned as an entrepreneur of 20 plus years now is you have to be self-reflective, and we all talk about it, but are we truly doing it? Are you being a leader of people? Are you empowering people and putting systems in place and letting other people be the experts for you? Henry Ford was famous for one time when he was in his office and a bunch of reporters ambushed him. They wanted to prove that he doesn't know anything about making the cars that he produces. And so they started asking him questions, and he would pick up a random phone and call down to his production line and ask a manager. And the reporters blasted him saying, see, you don't even know any of this stuff. He's like, why do I need to? I can't perform all of the functions of my business. I need great people to do it. I have smarter people than myself doing everything else in my business. I'm the one that just put it together and have the vision to grow it.
Yeah. I love
and
that.
So you have to be able to be very self-reflective and understand, where am I trying to take control? Where am I trying to do things that are either beyond my ability because it requires too much, more than I can give, or it's not in my scope, right? Why are you trying to handle your own taxes? Find the best people. Why are you trying to be your own business coach? Find the best business coach, the one that has the experience, the one that can stand outside of the circle, look in, and help you identify the changes that need to be made. And now be the one to take action and go make those changes. Bring in the right people. Put the systems in place that will bring you success.
Oh man, I love that. And that is a fantastic way to wrap this thing up. Hey, once again, thank you all for watching. If you haven't watched, hey, go to our YouTube channel. Just at the Roofing Academy. We have all the content there, our full length episodes as well as clips. And then we are on all the podcasting platforms. And I want to encourage you today, be a leader that serves, teaches, and inspires others. Take care, everybody. God bless.